Hello, everyone. My name is Veronica, and I'm a member of the Orfeo Music Festival team, and I will be helping to administer today's webinar. I am pleased to welcome you all to the third session in the new Orfeo Music Festival Spring 2022 webinar series devoted to classical music performance. We have a full and exciting program planned for today, and I would like to introduce Larissa Jackson, longtime member of the Orfeo Music Festival, who has led the planning and development of the festival, as well as our webinar program today. Larissa will manage our program today, and we will be available to answer any questions during and after the webinar. And yeah, pass it over to you, Larissa.
Hi, everybody. Hi, everyone, and welcome. Let me say a few words about the festival. It's Orfeo Music Festival is an international classic music event widely known for its artistic excellence. The festival takes place in Europe each summer, typically in the Italian alpine town Vipiteno. World-class musicians return year after year to Orfeo to welcome audiences with a series of solo and chamber performances and to mentor a new generation of musical talent who dream of reaching the highest standards in musical performance. From the time of its founding in 2003, the festival's mission is to celebrate and promote artistic excellence with classical music performances of the highest standard and to offer superior education to the new generation of musicians with the world-class artists, to nurture creativity and to build lasting human and artistic bonds. We're opening a new webinar series, Music is Our World, which is a 3-year initiative by the Orfeo Festival, exploring the role of music in our lives in a variety of different ways, but concentrating on the art of musical performance, which lays at the core of our musical experience. And now I would like to introduce our faculty member and great cellist, Rose Harbaugh, who is Professor of Instrumental Performance and Program Director at the University of Miami Frost School of Music, where in addition to teaching cello, he is the faculty mentor for the undergraduate Stumps String Quartet. Rose is cellist of the well-known American Bergonzi String Quartet. His distinguished teachers include Janusz Starker, Leonard Rose, and Peter Howard in the United States, and Andre Navarra at the Paris Conservatory. Russ, welcome today, and please, over to you.
All right, wonderful to be here. This is a really marvelous event because we're able to communicate across vast number of miles and delve into what we all love, which is music and how to play it on the cello, which is our special love. And so I'm looking forward to hearing both the Saens Concerto and let's see, what was the other piece? Oh, the Elgar, 2 great pieces, wonderful for the instrument, designed for the instrument. Makes the instrument sound its very best. So let's see. So Jamie, is Jamie here? Or is this a panel discussion? Are we just discussing, or no? She's gonna play. Okay, good. Maybe I should get my gallery view going here. Okay, so I see Abigail, I see Jim.
Yeah, Jim is Jamie. He's using a different, I think his father's account. That's why he's going by.
Oh, I see. Okay. Hi, Jim. Okay, so why don't we begin with you playing, are you planning to play the first movement, or what is? Okay, that sounds great. Why don't we just listen to you do that? Looking forward to it. Jim, I'm thinking that we could talk a little bit about what you've played so far.
Okay.
It sounds fantastic, by the way. I just wonderful. This is not an easy performance situation, and you're really bringing a lot of expression and, of course, virtuosity to what you're doing. Every hall is going to be a little different, and of course, we're not in a hall. We're just playing for a microphone, but there are certain things that are going to make the music seem like you're really communicating with us, talking with us, telling us a story. And it quite often has to do with the fact that all notes are not created equal. So certain notes are much more important than others, just as if when you look, sorry, that's when you are speaking and you're trying to convince someone of something, or you're telling a very dramatic story, maybe to a younger brother or sister. There are ways of making the words much more impactful, and of course with music it's the same thing. Certain musical words are going to be very, very important to get the message and the drama across. So I mean, just simple examples. In the opening phrase, you know, when you have the F, the EF, the most important note is the long note, is the F. And do you have a wolf on your cello?
Yeah, I have
Okay.
a magnet.
Oh, good for you. Good for you. Okay, so you've got it under control. That note is going to be an active note anyway, but musically, it's really important to make sure that we know that's the most important note. So let's do that. Play the very opening and give us a little extra it's gonna feel like it's going to be a very important note. It's going to be a very important word in what you're telling us. So give us a little extra vibrato. It's going to be louder, longer, and deeper on the F. Sure, exactly. I mean, at first, it seemed a little bit exaggerated. The second time through, you learned, you were quickly learning that, okay, I don't need to give quite that much vibrato to still make that note seem super important. And another place that it's so clear is, when you're accompanying way back, I don't know if you have measure numbers. It's at the bottom of page 1, or it's when you have the orchestra's going down, and you're playing a D sharp, and then you play an F, half notes. Those again should never feel like they're just accompanimental. You're really still a major player in this whole musical experience. So let's just jump to there. So you've just played your high E, the beautiful high E. Yeah, and then imagine that the orchestra is playing, and you're going to be inserting these very important, the D sharp and the F. Yeah, you have a tremendous vibrato. I love your vibrato. It has a lot of power and expression. And I feel like the bow speed, your understanding of how the bow speed and the vibrato speed work together, they're very nicely matched. And so congratulations on that. That's really important. When I talk about bow speed and vibrato speed, it's hard at first to understand that the bow has such an impact on pretty much everything we do. Position changes, and for example, what we're doing here with these important notes. So the bow speed it varies. It's not always one speed, but the depth in the string that it is, so the arm weight, and then the contact point, all of those things make such a difference in how the note reaches the audience, how your instrument speaks. But when I talk about the vibrato speed matching the bow speed, an exercise that you can do is to, and this may be something that you don't particularly need, but you can save it for your own students, because believe me, we all teach. There's never a situation where a cellist never teaches. I mean, yo, everybody. But you can divide the bow into 4 parts and then experiment with different vibrato speeds to see which, if you're going at, let's say, 4 miles an hour. I have the cello here. Let's do this. So your cello sound is very good on the speaker, and I'm hoping that mine will also come through that way. Okay, so what I'm going to do, if the bow speed is too quick, and my vibrato speed is bum 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 like that, it won't have the same impact or connection as if I took it. So that speed matches that bow speed. Try that. Just experiment with that once and see what that feels. What I loved about it was that rather than having the E static, it was perhaps you were imagining the orchestra playing with you, but the idea is that you're being drawn towards the change, either the D sharp or the F, so that there's a little bit of a crescendo, which is not marked, but the volume and the use of the bow and so on changes slightly, and it makes the sound much more alive. So what you just did, even as I think you were just counting vibrati, but it made it a very exciting experience just with a couple of notes. And that's why these fundamentals are really important to think about, as well as, you know, the big musical picture. Let's see here. Oh, do it one more time. I just want to hear that you're building to the D sharp and to the... Yeah, fantastic. Very good. Okay, let's look at the position changes then. The infamous position changes. This is, I don't have actual rehearsal letters. I just have numbers. So this is the section that happens right after what you've just been playing, you know, and so you have a BB shift and then a CC shift. Let's start where you start on the B. There are 8 measures rest, and then you start on the B. So let's experiment. I have an idea here that might be useful. So the bow speed on the lower note is going to be slightly, especially right before the position change. I try making that a little bit slower. So it's going to be a slow bow and then a go bow when you get to the top. So the motion, the time required to go from the low note to the high note takes a certain amount of bow, and it takes a certain amount of time. But quite often we'll forget about the amount of bow that's required, and we're just thinking about the time. But if you slow the bow down to practically nothing, I mean, I don't want you to stop the sound, but the feeling will be that when you get to that point, your bow's going to go very slowly, your upper arms are going to release, you're going to hear the upper note very clearly, and then there'll be this floating feeling as you move towards the top, and then you reactivate everything at the top. Try that with well, I guess so let's just try it with the B natural to B natural.
You want me to start like right before that?
How about a measure before that? That would be better, I think. Bravo. Exactly. So what happened the first time was that the arms were not coordinated because you were experimenting and really focusing on the right hand and the right arm. But the second time through, which happened almost immediately, the arms were coordinated. They worked together. And so the bow speed and the motion of the left arm were working in perfect unison. So that, especially with that particular position change going from the B to the B, it's a little easier because you don't actually have to commit. You don't have to bring your thumb up to play the B. But when you do the C, then it's a slightly different issue because then there's a little bit more of a left hand commitment, but at the same time, the bow usage is the same. So let's try the next one. So I guess you would start 1 or 2 measures before the C. You see, I feel like there's a difference between a position change and a shift. So the position change, what you just did was terrific. And the sensation is here you are, and you're connected to the string. You have to be in order to make it speak. So in a sense, it's like a parking brake. So you're here, and then when you go down the hill, you reactivate the parking brake at the top. But if you keep the parking brake on while you're moving, it's not a very efficient way. It creates too much friction, heat. It actually hurts the finger over a period of time. So you don't want to do that. But it also tends to stop us from getting to where we want to go. So the position change is this. That's just the arm movement and understanding the hand shape here and the hand shape here. But the shift itself is something that's more of an aesthetic decision. And so there may be like a half inch of shift. You see what I mean? In other words, I don't want to think of myself shifting all the way from here, but I may just want to have a little zing at the top, which will be the shift sound. Okay, so I mean, some people really love this concept, and other people say, I don't need to know about that. But it's just yet another way for you to think about your position changes, because what you just demonstrated were two beautiful position changes with a very effective, exciting shift sound. One other thing about this section is the chord change that happens in the third measure. So what I'm thinking is that we start here. We're feeling the stormy feeling of the opening. And then that's something else. And I feel like the sound and maybe the bow speed could change there a little bit as well. You see what I mean? This little tenuto feeling indicates to the listener that there's been a change. So rather than have it just go straight through, it doesn't have the same impact, and so that's something that you might emphasize slightly. You have to exaggerate a little bit to make it obvious to the listener. Try that once and bring out when it changes to the D sharp. Okay, and it doesn't necessarily have to be quieter, but it just can be. It's almost as if you're thinking this way, and then you have a thought that goes this way. That's the second chord, and I like. I mean, the orchestra is sometimes not easy to work with an orchestra because the musicians they're thinking about their own playing. Depends on the quality of the orchestra, but we all have to play with amateur orchestras or semi-professional orchestras where the sound tends to be too much for us. Now, Leonard Rose once said he played all the concertos at the same volume. He just changed his vibrato speed. I think that's a bit of an exaggeration, but in order to be heard, and he traveled all over the place, played with a lot of really ordinary orchestras. A lot of it was making sure that his sound was heard in the hall, but of course, still telling the story. And then while you're doing this, so your bow speed your arm starts getting used to that bow speed. And then what the danger is, we make too big of a motion on the downbeat. That's where we want to start again, because after all, the piece begins on the second note. 1, 2, and so it's the same kind of thing. In other words, that the downbeat is not as important as the second beat, as the high note. All right, so one last thing. Let's see, I have to keep track of where we are on the time. Would you give us the introduction, maybe the chromatics? Start from there and give us the second theme, the B theme. So very beautiful. I mean, your whole B theme, I find all of that very convincing, very beautiful. So what I want to draw your attention to is the introduction, which might not seem as important. So you just finished. Those C's have to give them a lot of vibrato so that they really seem quite important. And then this note is so special because it's just, we all know what's coming and we hope that it's going to happen, and then it does happen, which is like a little miracle. And so rather than just giving it to the audience immediately, what you're doing is teasing the audience a little bit, and also when you tell the story, you want to make sure that everyone's ears are right there with you. So let's start from just right there at the top of the chromatics. Bravo. That's right. In other words, it seems secondary in importance, but especially in romantic music, the pickups quite often tell a big part of the story. In Baroque music, not so much, but in romantic music, the yearning for the resolution and then the delivery, the final reaching of it, it's so important to have the reach be as important as actually arriving. And so what you just did worked so much better in my opinion. And you have the three C's. That's a surprise. You could actually experiment with starting to soften this. We've had this big violent going up and down and big changes and everything, and we're already changing the mood, changing the atmosphere. He's really he's just improvising, riffing on C, A, B, C, and then he finally takes us to the D, which is very special. So do it one more time. When you do the chromatics, when you get to the open string, you can let I'm exaggerating, but let the fingers move a little bit in the opposite direction. So you're going, you'll be getting out of the way of the open string, but it also gives you something positive to do when you change. Okay? Try that once. Starker did, he changed, I think, I like it the way it's originally written, but the idea was to let the conductor know exactly where you were, because it's a little bit scary for the conductor when you arrive, boom. So anyway, that might be a way of just try it all separates. I mean, you do, 6 notes to a bow, and then go back to your the 12 notes to the bow. But the idea is that you would have a new perspective. Try it once with changing. Try changing there. It's interesting, isn't it? I mean, it's not necessarily the right solution, but it definitely makes you hear it in a different way. And that's always valuable. Do you have any questions? Do you have anything that you wanted to make sure that we covered and we haven't covered?
I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful playing, and I really appreciate the fact that you're willing to try some of these different ideas, and I hope that some of them are useful. If not for you, but maybe for your students. It's always good to collect solutions from lots of different people. You can learn from everyone. All right, bravo. That's about, Larissa, is that okay? That's about 30 minutes?
Sounds good.
Okay. Thanks for your applause, colleagues. Your silent applause. Yeah, I saw that. Okay, so let's go to Elgar now. Does everyone have an iPad? Are you guys performing with iPads?
I am. I don't know about Jamie and what he's doing.
I just, it's changed my life. Something that we used to dream about in the string quartet, in the Bartok quartets, they were just ridiculous page turns. And now all of a sudden it's just a foot pedal. Yep.
Let me intervene for a moment and announce the names of our students. The student that just played was Jamie Clark. And
Yes.
now Abigail Byrd is
Okay.
about to play. So,
Hi, Abigail.
Oh.
Okay, so I'm going on my iPad. I'm looking up. I have my whole repertoire here, which is kind of crazy. So I'm going to go to Elgar. All right. How long have you been working on the Elgar?
A month, I think.
Oh, how exciting!
So it's very, very new.
Okay.
Yeah. But hopefully it'll go well.
All right. Looking forward to hearing it. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Really beautiful. Okay. First of all, just great storytelling. Really enjoyed it. And I want to give you a gift from Jacqueline Dupre. This is something that I picked up just watching a masterclass that she was doing. One of the tricky spots in this piece is when we have to go. And how do we get off of that down to the D? So what she did, and this is just such a good solution. So you can see it. So she plays an open D harmonic with her thumb and then moves while the harmonic, and it lasts great. Try it once.
Yeah, that's so nice.
And that's right. See, it's so easy. But now that you have that solution, you can be much more appassionato on the. On this D, you don't have to stop the sound. You can sustain all the way to the harmonic, and it is really powerful. Try it once. Sure. And you can sustain, let's say you don't have to, you're used to having to get off of it quickly because you have a big position change. Instead, no position change. So hold. The higher notes can be a little longer and as a result, a little bit more persuasive. Try it one more time. Just sustaining like crazy a little longer than you think you can. Okay, so when you listen to her recordings, and it's sort of iconic, lots of people played that piece. Fournier has a beautiful recording, and Navarra and Starker and all these people. There's something about the way she played it that just made it seem like, how could it possibly be any other way? And one of the things was this total commitment to sound and to the expression. And so that as if you were going to stop right there. Sorry. And then second voice. First voice. Almost like two different cellists. So the first cellist is going to hold longer because you don't have to worry about the second cellist coming in. So you just sustain. I mean, if we were in the same room, we could actually try it. And then you go, ya, da, 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 dee. You could continue. Anyway, try it once, you doing both voices. Good. Your sound is so powerful that it's making my speakers clip a little. So I didn't actually hear it. But anyway, you understand. Any questions about what we're going? Okay. Now let's see. Another thing that might be interesting for you. There's some interesting little. You've made tremendous progress on this in 1 month. That's great. Wonderful playing. Really good. I'm going to talk about position changes again. So when you're doing this. It just takes a little time, a little technical time to get there, which really, it's not necessarily expressive, although if it's rushed, then it's not expressive at all. So it's like moving around on a guitar. There are these little sounds that happen because we have to move from this position to this position. And so don't try to hide that activity. It's just part of the music making, the cello playing, and but it also should make it a little easier. There's going to be it's like you're moving between two channels on the radio, and there's going to be a little bit of, it's not a full sound, but there's just going to be a little bit of, the bow stays connected, the string and the finger stays connected as well, but it's not pressing. So try that once you're going. And then the bow is going to help you by not moving very fast. And then you go to the next, to the beat.
Okay, sure.
Okay. Yeah, Navarro was nervous about that position change. So what he did was, there was no problem. You're already there. But this is also very nice. And get your thumb out. And so what's happening is that there's a little bit of a, it's almost like a wing. Your arm, if there was a light in your elbow, the elbow light would go right up the wall. So here you are, the elbow light goes up, not any further than it has to, but, and it's possible to be a non-shift. In other words, no shift at all, but I think it's nice to have a little sound. So the option would be lifting, get the thumb out, the arm goes up, and then you just begin. But it's nice to have a little bit of connector, which I think you're doing. I don't, once again, my speakers are clipping, I'm sorry, but.
Yeah, it might also be this mic. I'm trying to learn how it works, and it goes in and out, so.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so we'll leave that. It sounds really nice, and it's you have such a nice intonation in the high registers, which is not easy. So you've laid a good groundwork, and you have to continue reviewing that all the time, of course. But all right, so let's go to the very beginning. Here are a couple of things that I want to mention. One is that the second chord is always a little hard to get in tune. And so one of my solutions for this is to start in half position. Really not what you might expect. So I'm going to play the first fifth with 2, because I'm going to play the G with 2 as well. So instead of having to have one position like this, and a completely different, yeah, try it once with 2.
Interesting. I know what you mean. That does make more sense. That makes sense.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a little easier to find the new position because 2 has already been activated. Okay. This is one of my favorite things about violinists when they play is when they go over on the G string and they're playing way over on the G string. And there's an effect that you can get when you play the A. So let me, I don't know what my sound is like for you, but let me see if I can do this. So. And then I go here. With a 4. And I'm just a half step away from.
Yeah, I really like that. It keeps the
That's my
timbres a little bit
favorite
more
part of it.
organized.
But this is also pretty cool. I mean, Yo-Yo doesn't do that. He goes. So he's playing an open A, and then reactivates, and that's very exciting as well. Sometimes an open string can be really powerful, and open harmonics too, for that matter. Well, I don't know if you want to try my fingering. It's a big change from what you're doing. Wow, you're really good. That was really, I'm really putting you on the spot, and you just made that happen. Pretty cool. The other, what you could do is keep what your fingering was before, but to have an open, like a colorless A and then a vibrated A, it's a very nice contrast. Try your fingering, but with that idea in mind.
Sure. Yeah.
Great. Okay. And once again, it's just the bow usage. I know some people actually are so anxious about this that they'll actually change the bow, but I don't think that's necessary. You can. It's okay. You're all by yourself, so you can start very quietly, and then your vibrato can kind of lead the bow speed again. So it activates it. Okay. One other thing I just have to mention, Leonard Rose, we have this these 4 eighth notes, and it's possible to play them without having much meaning. And so whenever I play them, I always think of him. He did he held the B a little longer. It's just it's definitely not required. It's not indicated, but it's a shout out to Leonard Rose. I just feel like it gives it an extra meaning. Okay.
Yeah, because it's part of the melody in that line, so it's not necessarily a throwaway note, which it can be if you do it the wrong way.
Exactly. Oh yeah, here. Let's wait until we get to the next cool. Okay, now let's go to the main. This part here. It's interesting. I keep on dropping names, but I mean when I listen to these concerti, I think about different people who have influenced me in different ways, And so this is a Navarra moment because he was describing this as this. He said there are 3 ways of playing this. Well, here's the French way. And here's the German way. He said neither of those is maybe absolutely correct because it's an English piece. So then he said, think about the English. They drink weak tea. They don't drink good coffee. They drink weak tea. It's always raining. It's always a little bit depressing. This was a Frenchman's concept, of course. And so then if you can have a little bit of that, the feeling of melancholy, the melody's going up, but there's nothing that's particularly reaffirming it. It looks like it's going to get better and better and better again. Then it gets sad again. So sounds optimistic. And there's that. It's very similar to what we were talking about with Jamie and the note just prior to the.
Yeah.
That we know what's happening, we know what's coming, and yet we're holding it back to give it extra power. So try that once. I don't know if this French, English, and German thing works, but try it.
Yeah.
Beautiful. No matter what, do observe that no matter which nationality you decide to adopt, when you go, the A is actually a different note value. So you have 16ths, 8ths. That right away can be expressive just simply by emphasizing what the composer originally wrote. So don't go suddenly quicker on the A. Okay? Okay. Well, it's such a beautiful vibrato you have on your D string. So, in order to emphasize this for a while, maybe you'll just really, really lengthen the A, just to remind you. Where are we? We have pairs of notes. The unit is two notes, two notes, two notes. And so if you think about this, this is also two notes, of course, but it's quicker. Think of, emphasize that in your mind.
Okay.
Good. Yeah, the pairs of notes is something that shows up in the earliest music. The sigh, the unit of two notes is something that's very common in speech as well. But you find it all over Bach, and it's just a building block of music. So as you study your score, you look for units of two, of three, of four, and there'll be ways of, in the Haydn, there's just if I do, it will be less convincing. It'll be less persuasive. And so I call that the rule of four, which is maybe overstating it, but I'm just putting a little bit of extra length on the first of the four notes.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. All right, so let's see. Yeah, the bowing itself. Here's something else. This is also from Dupre. So it's four notes and two, and then three and three. It's what she did was she crossed the string. Every string crossing was on a slur rather than having to change the string and the bow. So in other words, it's three and two. I mean, four and two, three and three, then four and two, three and three, and especially, boy, does it work great there. Now you're very fortunate to have a good cello that speaks well, but you have a balky C string sometimes really helps. If you're changing the string during a bow stroke rather than at the change of the bow. Just experiment with that bowing plan. So four and two, three and three, four and two, three and three.
Okay.
And I'm noticing that you're fingering for the first two big units, two measured units. There is no string crossing, so it's really not very important. It's just the third group when you have to go over to the C string. That's when it might be important.
Yeah, no, I need to refine how exactly I'm doing this, but depending on the dynamic and where it is in the piece, I'm changing the fingering.
Right, I see. Well, that seems like a really.
You're right, but that's a really, really cool. I like that a lot.
All right. Well, and also your scale sounds terrific. I mean, notice the grouping here. You've got 6/6, and then 2/2/1/1 is the way I'm thinking about it. Here's the second group. I'll be thinking about. I mean, that's exaggerated, but the unit size will vary, and as it gets more and more intense, I'll have more and more pulses, and the unit size is smaller. But you're doing that already, so I think it's. Yeah, I'm really impressed with what you're doing. So, did you have any questions? Did you have anything that you wanted to delve into that I haven't touched on?
I don't think so, actually. But thank
you.
you.
The story of this piece is that Elgar had basically gone into retirement, and then the First World War. Someone described it as Europe committing suicide. It was just such a horrific and unnecessary war, and everyone either had lost somebody from their family or they knew somebody who had lost a son, and so in this, there are places where it's intensely sad, but there are other places where it's a little bit. He's trying to remember the good old days, the good times, and so he'll use a little syncopation. I'm talking about rehearsal 11. 1, 2, 3, 1. That's like a little skip in the step, It's fun, and it's bittersweet because we're hearing it in the context of this horrific war. But I don't think I would underplay it. 1, 2, 3. This is also quite cheerful. It's so different from,
Yeah.
So yeah, just enjoy those changes. That's something that there's a beautiful book. It's called Houses of Composers. And one of the composers in this book, it's a big picture book, is Elgar's house. And the view from his studio window. So out onto his little English garden, and there's a close-up of his desk and all his inkwell and the scissors and his glasses and all that kind of stuff. But then looking out on the window, out of the window, it's such a thoughtful, lovely perspective. You're seeing the world through his eyes, and it's. I don't know if you like The Hobbit, but there's something very English about The Hobbit, and the whole Middle Earth thing, and it's a beautiful, heartfelt, warm, friendly, way of thinking about the world. And just like in the Lord of the Rings, there are these horrific things happening elsewhere, but the Shire is a safe place. And so that little melody is part of the Shire, I think. Okay, so thank you very much for playing for us.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ross. Thank you, Abigail. That was amazing, Elgar.
Yeah.
Yes. I believe we have a Cristina Kazankina from St. Petersburg Conservatory, who will, Cristina, are you here?
I'm going to get a little water.
All right. Cristina,
Hello,
do I hear your voice? Hello, Cristina.
hello. You hear me?
Hello. Yes, yes. Great sound. And I even saw a picture. Yes, I see. Hello, welcome.
Hello, thank you so much.
We're very happy to have you join us today. And
Me too. I feel very excited to take part in this series.
Great. So we have planned that you play Bach from the third suite, Sarabande, possibly Gigue, and Shostakovich Adagio for Professor Moises Molina first, and then Kol Nidre by Bruch for Professor Alvin Wong.
Thank you so much.
Professor Molina?
Yes, I'm very much looking forward to hearing you. Well, you have the Sarabande and you have the Gigue of the C major suite, right? For the sake of time, which one would you prefer? Which one do you feel that you could use more advice on, or you feel that you could? So it would be up to you.
To decide the one dance?
Yeah, to start with.
Okay. I feel both of them are very interested to get to hear your opinion.
Okay.
So if it's possible, I can just perform without maybe...
with no repeats.
Yeah, with no repeats.
Good, yeah.
Make it short.
Go ahead and do that, yeah.
Thank you. I can hear you.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Really good playing. I like your sense of line, and I like how you really begin to hit the counterpoint and you hear the different voices. One thing that I think a lot of times, because we're so excited to hear the lowest strings on the instrument, I think we can, as cellists, we begin to get focused on those notes in these kinds of pieces rather than on really what's about. And so if you think of the chords as ornamentation rather as the focal point, that might help the flow of the piece a little better. And that's number one. I think your approach to it is much more extrovert, much more outward than meditative and inward. And I don't necessarily think that is a wrong approach. But I wonder if you could get a little more air in the sound, or a little more spaces. I feel like your sound sustains a lot, and in your effort to have a line. So, but I'm asking you for several things here. One thing I'm gonna ask you first thing. Will you play the beginning of this again of the
Yeah, for sure.
Sarabande? Yes, but don't play any chords.
Okay.
Just play the melody. Play me a really beautiful tune. Good, very good. Now, that's the first right. Good. See, right? You're going to will you try that? Just kind of feel like you're going to the second bit a little bit, just a little bit. Yes, that was very nice. That was very nice. Now try it again, and this time put the chords in and see if you can make the chords part of that. Enhance what you just heard in your top voice now. Yes, there we go. Now you don't be afraid to play the chords. I think you had a beautiful resonant sound. I just felt that was the focus before. But now your ear is speaking of the melody. So put the kind of the beautiful sound that you had in the chorus, just don't lose track of the melody. Good. That was much better. Now, one thing that you did differently when you had no chords is that you had two very distinct statements. You want to... You see that? But when you put the chords, you went... Does that make sense? Yes. So do it. Try that. Just try it. I like that. And then one quick thing that you could try to feel at the right timing, feel the subdivisions getting gentler. What I mean by subdivisions is the small notes. For example, try that and see. You can hear them gently, and then that gives you the timing for the next chord. That's one approach. I think it gives you more confidence at the beginning if you have something to anchor your ears on. Otherwise, we get so busy with the chords and the beautiful big sound, but at the end of the day, it's really about the tune. Yeah, that was really nice. Keep going from there. Yo, mi, fa, fa. Yeah, keep going after that. I think it's very good. I just feel that you rush. I feel like you want to get just put a little bit more breath. It cannot be super it's not much to rubato really. It's just more about breathing. Okay, can you go from when you do the chorus, when you go right here, right there, when you do that? It's an interesting focus. Yeah. Yes, and you know, this time I like how you ended that previous section. When you played it last time, you connected it. You know, and there is people sometimes interpret it that way, but I think this piece tends to have kind of a sense of this is a very clear section. We're going to the next section. Okay, so in general with this, I like musically it's really beautiful. I just think that you need to make sure that the chords don't become the focal point of the piece, and that you take time to breathe. And if you're not sure how much time to take, sing subdivisions, smaller notes, make those beautifully musical, and then distribute your tone and your bow accordingly so you know what the timing is for what comes next. But I think that is very beautiful. Let's hear a little bit of your jig. Keep going. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I meant for you to keep going. But that's good. That's good. I can talk about some things here. It's very exciting. I think that it's good. And you're playing it at a slower tempo that I would play, but I don't think that is a bad thing. I think it gives it time to be clear and be very, very articulated. However, I think that you're using so much movement. I don't think you could go faster if you wanted to. You know, because I think it was no. I tell you why. The problem is that you're using a lot of bow, right? But I thought that what would happen if you slow, if you kind of made it smaller, and then you can. I think if you reduce the amount of bow you're using, you can make your phrases more apparent. Your phrasing, your intent, your melodical contour. So would you try melodic shaping? Would you try it again and just maybe reduce your bow by 30%? Not total 50%, but it's like 30%. Yeah, okay. I like that. I like that more. Okay, so that's one thing. Now, try it again. And this time you're playing in the middle, which I think is a very good solution. It's a very good solution. But what would happen if you just go just a little bit closer to the frog? And the reason for this is that your string crossings, the ratio of to change from a string to string will be smaller. The farther out you go, the bigger you have to make it. So it doesn't have to be at the frog, but maybe just a little bit inward. Try it. Okay, all right. It was good. Now that one I wouldn't do at the frog. That one it was okay. But the previous section felt much. I feel like you were more in control of the instrument, of the bow. How did it feel to you? the beginning. I couldn't hear what you said, sorry. Okay, it was more, it's ringing better. Okay, now that was, so far we've talked about maybe reducing the amount of bow, right? And also relocating the place where you play from here just a little bit to here, right? The other thing I would like for you to try is the way the hair of the bow approaches the string. Right now, the hair is approaching the string like this in some instances. And what I would suggest, it's not necessarily that you start from the string, but that you keep the bow hair as close to the string as possible, so that the stroke is not like but instead of, so like that you don't push the bow on the string, you just kind of balance the bow on the string and then just do the impulse horizontally rather than vertically. Pum, 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 pum. Just try on the first note. Go. Yeah, so when you play it, don't let the bow come from the air. At this rate of speed, just get it almost right next to it. Yes, so now play the passage with that in mind. So keep the same energy, but not like this, more like this. Good. I kind of like that better. It seems like you have more, you feel more at ease. Now, in that passage, have you practiced that like double stops? Yeah. Okay, now when you do that and you separate the bow from a string to string, make it look almost the same. So we're going right? So just very almost not change at all from two strings to separating the strings. I like that. I like that. Now, in the section that comes next is a very exciting section for cellists. And so we tend to get wild. And we lose control of the bow. So just keep the hair close to the string. Just keep the bow close to the string. Would you try that? Good. The bow was really good. But you did something different with your head and neck. So, before you were doing, which was great, but your bow was wild. Now, when you wanted to make your bow, you went. Don't do that. You can do this, what you were doing earlier, but keep your bow close to the string. So don't do it again. Okay, do you see how you do that? When you go for the beat, dum para pam pam pira, but your head goes tiram pam piram pam. Your head, don't do that. So it's all in the arms and the hands, right? Okay, the sound was good. The sound was terrific. But then it didn't have the energy that it had before. So, but the energy does not come from your neck or head. The energy comes from your arms and hands. So put the energy back, but don't do it from here. Okay, experiment with that. I think that you really want to feel like this. But I think this piece, you don't have to project over an orchestra. This piece is really not about being super loud. It's about being resonant and clear, and the notes need to speak immediately. So you need agility. You need to be able to move quickly, make sure the string speaks quickly. And the more force you put into it, the harder it's going to be to make that happen. Okay? But now play from the beginning up to there. And before you play, just think, okay, what are the things that I need to do? Just use a little bit less bow, keep the hair close to the string, and just play with the same passion you were playing when you first played it for me. Because I love the passion. I just felt that you weren't controlling your bow as well. Okay? Put the passion back in. Just keep an eye on your bow.
Before you continue, Cristina, your sound is either very much in the background or breaking up. Can you maybe move a microphone a little bit? Or I don't know, just try something different. Maybe that will help. Moises, do you have any ideas why?
Sometimes that's could be a solution. Put the microphone closer to the cello.
Closer?
It should be closer.
Well, try now,
Closer,
please.
yes. Like almost on top of the instrument, yeah.
Sorry for not good sound.
Oh, that's okay. I've done less of all sorts of sound conditions, so this is actually good.
Yeah.
So should I try?
Just
Yeah,
try
try
a
it,
couple
yeah.
notes. Yes, that's good.
That's
That's good.
actually better, yes. Yeah, I like a lot of what you do with this piece. I think you make it very interesting and very exciting. Just like I said, just don't force it. And don't use so big movements, because the less movements you have, the more economical you're with your movements, then when you open up the sound, it's much more effective. But if your sound is going like this, it's very difficult to rein it in. Most of your attention is focused on not losing your bow. Okay? All right, sounds great. Sounds very good. Larissa, do we have time to hear that, or should we go to, so we can have the discussion later? Should we go to Alvin to do the?
Maybe just a few moments of Shostakovich. We can't skip
Okay,
that.
let me just hear a little bit. Yeah, just let me hear a little bit of Shostakovich, and then we'll. Okay, all right, good. It's hard to tell because of the sound of the the Zoom is very difficult to tell, but there is a couple of things I really like about your playing. There is a very well thought out musical approach, and the different speeds of vibrato is very good. Just in what I was observing, your contact point on the bow, and I don't, like I said, I'm not sure why. I'm sure it's probably sounding very good where you are, but over here, if I were watching a cellist here and that sound was coming, I think that sometimes this sound would lose a little bit of focus. And it depends on where you are playing this. If you're playing in front of an orchestra and you want a more intense sound, just be sure that when you diminuendo, that the sound doesn't get airy or too soft. But again, it's hard to judge because of the sound limitations.
Sorry, I can't help to understand the sound better.
Yeah,
Think it
but I
was
think that in general, I think you have a very musical approach to this. Your melodic flow seems very good. Your timing seems good. Just make sure that when you are phrasing and you're bowing, that just because you go to the frog, the tip doesn't go to the fingerboard all the time. You know what I mean by that? When you do a down bow, and then the tip seems to come to the fingerboard, and you make a beautiful phrase of it.
okay, I understand.
So, and you make it work, but I wonder if sometimes if you need to maybe do that you get that the phrasing that you're choosing is independent from the technical difficulties. That the phrasing that you choose actually is what you mean, not what your bow is making you do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I can try to make a
Yeah,
different.
and like I said, it's hard to tell because of the microphone, but I think that it very well may be that it was beautiful and it was perfect. But I wasn't really just watching your bow, so that's why I was saying these things.
Thank you so
But
much.
listen, you play beautifully, really beautifully, and thank you for playing.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
All right.
Thank you, Professor Moises. Thank you, Cristina. Over to Professor Wong now. Alvin?
Hi, Christina. Oh, do I sound too loud? I don't know. It sounds very loud here. So you're going to play Kol Nidre for us?
Yes.
Yeah, please go ahead. I don't know if we have time to listen to the whole thing, but
If
maybe
you
we'll have to.
if
We
you
will
need
try our
to
best.
stop me, you can say or just show.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Sorry, Christina. I want to see if we can try a little bit of something. First of all, do you have your original sound on already? I don't know what it's called in Russian, but on the top left corner of my picture, there should be something that says sound, and I don't know if it says original sound on or not. And also, maybe it also helps if sorry, but Professor Molina, do you mind muting yourself as well?
Oh,
Yeah, sometimes I think other microphones are being picked up, and then you are muted. So and the other thing is, I don't know if it works with you, but maybe in the settings, if you don't if you choose the music mode. Oh, I can hear you a little better now. Can you play a few notes
Yes.
really loud, like what you were doing? Doesn't work. Okay. It seems worse. Now I cannot hear you at all. in the settings, there's a music mode, and I wonder if you can change to the music mode. Now I don't hear you at all, so I think you may have changed to another microphone. You muted yourself. You have muted yourself. Yeah. You just muted yourself.
Okay.
Okay, let's try.
To make it better, but it's not working. I'm just
Try a few notes right now.
for something. Is it louder now?
Yeah, it is. Can you play a few notes?
Yes.
It's really hard to hear. Yes.
Try to sit maybe a little bit farther for one moment, just to try.
Yeah.
Понимаете?
Maybe the other way. Nothing.
Phone, maybe it will have better sound. My laptop, I think it's maybe not so good at sound. I don't know. Or is it okay? You can hear the volume, or it's not good sounding? What's the problem?
I can hear you talk, but then once you start playing, I hear a little bit at the beginning and then it becomes nothing.
Oh,
Do you try the
Can
noise?
you just check one last thing for me? When you go to audio settings, when you look at your microphone input, how loud is the volume?
now I can see the settings. They disappeared.
If you click the microphone symbol, there's a little arrow next to it. And then if you click on it, then you can go to audio setting.
Okay. Is it better?
Good. Yes, now I can hear you.
Thank you so much for fixing that problem. But now I can hear you. It's.
Go ahead.
Should I sit further, or it's?
Maybe you can tilt your camera a little bit more straight so I can see your bow. Yes. Maybe that's too much. I know technology is great, perfect. Thank you. I'm just gonna
great opportunity to communicate through all the.
Yes, indeed. So I'm gonna mute myself so I'm not going to distract you. Yeah, okay. Thank you so much, Christina. I'm sorry, we don't have a lot of time, unfortunately. But first of all, really beautiful playing, absolutely fantastic. You have a very personal connection with this piece, do you?
I feel really too much sometimes passion for music, so difficult.
Yes, yes. I, I I can tell that you really feel connected to this piece. So basically, I would say two things. You're singing really beautifully with your cello, and sometimes I wonder if this big singing. First of all, do you know what Kol Nidre is?
Yes, it's a pray. Yeah, and
Exactly.
it's a
Yeah.
very special pray.
Do you think prayers? Oh God, please! I have so much sin. Please forgive me already.
Maybe in very crazy moment at the end, or just I think a bit like in this situation to have sound to hear a bit. But depending on acoustic, I can understand what you're talking about. I can't play all the time.
What I'm trying to say is, I think this piece. Okay, first of all, Bruch is not Jewish. He is using, Jewish melody. So and his piece has been criticized for not Jewish enough in a lot of ways. Yes. So let's put this aside. That even though it's called Kol Nidre, it may not be the most authentic Jewish music, and I'm not qualified to say anything about that really. But I'm thinking, for example, at the very beginning, I'm sure you understand what the rests are, and I can hear your breathing that you're bringing us through the rests a lot. But I'm wondering, instead of singing, have you thought of using a little bit more speaking quality in the playing? Instead of, for example, maybe not so much right away at the beginning. We save a little bit for later when we have, something like that. Maybe a little bit more. Something like that, it's up to your interpretation. But I'm thinking about bringing a little bit more contrast to it. Would you like to try a little bit?
Yeah, for sure.
Great, great. Fantastic. I really, really love it. And you do it just like right away. That's beautiful. Just make sure that even when you are playing soft, it doesn't mean that we need to be like, put a little box for ourselves and be like, I'm not. You can still be very expressive. It's just not outward, but maybe more inward expression. That's beautiful. That's really great. And then the other thing that I would like to ask you is, what do you think about? Well, what is your philosophy of vibrato?
Of vibrato.
Because I see you vibrate a lot, and you're very, very good at it, and you have really great intensity in the vibrato. But what is your perception of vibrato in general?
The beauty, like the cherry on a cake, the top, to make it really special and even in a unique moment. So I always try to think which kind of vibrato is more common for this place and in feelings. So it's very philosophy theme about vibrato, because you all the time want to find something special, comfortable, different, unique for different episodes, and it's always something to think about, to find.
Fantastic. I think I can hear your philosophy in your playing. That's really good. And then that's basically what you're doing, and it's beautiful. But on a larger scale, I'm wondering you can also bring the nuances of this vibrato into a smaller, slightly more microscopic. Now we're talking about a little bit more, because I can hear beautiful contrast between your forte passages and your piano passages. But what about within that piano phrase? Or what about within that forte phrase? Can we also have that range of vibrato that is more expressive within that range? So not just forte and piano, but within, for example, can you do actually our favorite phrase from right there?
Can I ask you to maybe tell me again about the vibrato phrasing? What because
Yes.
something with the
Oh, I see. So what I was saying, So what I was saying is, if the vibrato can, wait a second. If the vibrato can also show, for example, even within one note. So it's not, you know what I mean?
yes.
Yeah, just try one phrase and then. Exactly. Beautiful. So basically, these are just some food for thoughts, yeah? You don't need to change your playing, or you don't need to change your conception of this piece at all. But what I'm trying to see, what I hear is beautiful cello playing, but sometimes it sounds intense from the beginning to the end. So I wonder if there's more of a story that you can, first of all, use a little bit more speaking with articulation, but still singing quality speaking. And the other thing is bring out slightly more nuances, even within the forte range, so we can hear a little bit more contrast. Is that okay? Do you
Yes.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for this. It's really
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I have been summoned by the artistic director that I need to shut up. But thank you so much. I really appreciate your playing. Thank you.
Thank you, Cristina. Thank you, Professor Wong. That was a fantastic session. I think we're ready for our discussion panel about sharing thoughts and experience on surviving the pandemic. And I would like to start with our students. So please, let me, why don't we start with Cristina? Cristina, your mic is on? Yes.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. So tell us first, how did you survive pandemic? What's going on now? What was happening when things changed? Where you were in St. Petersburg?
I was at St. Petersburg. I was planning some concerts. I was very excited to get to Berlin or Paris with the Philharmonic Orchestra to play wonderful music, and it all cancelled. And then later we have a very long quarantine for months in Russia, in St. Petersburg, in big cities. So all concerts were cancelled everywhere, and the studies became new for for everybody in web. So its technique changes for everyone was. For once, it was very strange and it was very scary at the beginning. Everyone tried to stay home and tried to get safe. Now things are very strange because we have the same problems still with COVID and all people that get damaged from the pandemic, but still concerts are open and some studies are getting online or on different programs like Zoom, or you can just get on an iCloud information for your studies. And for musicians, it was very difficult to understand that for a period or maybe for the future you should stay in format when you can communicate as it was before for all the centuries, like for thousands years, for everything. Like it's new era, totally new era, and you can make your decision, but the future has changed. Like you can like it, you cannot, you know, for not for everyone. It is common, and at the beginning, for the educational programs, I know that many children or old people were not in Russia get into it, but after some years, everyone is saying that the main and the greatest thing that we can get through all these changes in our communication is that it doesn't matter where are you can communicate with this internet opportunity, and you're not just being alone. Like you can get information, you can get really interesting musical or educational adventures. Like if you want, it depends on you. Like I know that it's you should get maybe better technique preparing. Like I was thinking a lot to make maybe in my apartment some sounding studio to make the recordings, to make videos. It's very now important to get helping each other. And if we can't meet for this period, it's wonderful when you make something for others to help. I'm talking if it goes about pieces, recordings, studies, and everything.
Thank you very much for sharing. Did you have to go to your classes online at some time? Your lessons
Yes,
with
yes,
professors online? How did that go?
With the same programs, with the master classes, with the talking, if we need a better sounding and everything like perfectly loading, you're making a video in a good view, in a good sound, so like you can make perfect.
Right.
Perfect understanding of what you're hearing and what you getting through these microphones if we're talking about music lessons with the internet.
Thank you so much. If anyone has questions to Cristina, we can ask now or we can ask later. Possibly we go to then Gilberto. Gilberto, are you there? Cristina, your microphone is on. If you're not speaking, maybe yes, just for a moment.
I wanted to compliment Christina on what excellent English she has. I mean, it's really extraordinary. Your expression is, unfettered by any kind of problem with the language. Good heavens, I'm really impressed.
You're very kind. You're very kind. Before pandemic, I could travel and have friends to communicate, to talk. So my language was more common, more fluent, more easy. Yeah, the last thing I did before the pandemic, it was a tour to UK with the orchestra festival. So we visited, and we have orchestra for cut it for two parts, from Russian and from the UK. So we really have had a lot of communication for that time. But now everything, like, you are trying to think for something to go for some maybe in Europe, and it's very difficult.
Well, good luck with all that, and you're doing great. Really, so nice to hear you play. And
All right, so what about Gilberto? Are you there?
He goes
Yes.
by Miguel, yeah. Can you turn on your camera?
Yeah, my camera. Okay.
Your camera is not. Oh, there it is.
Hello.
Hello, Miguel. Is that or Gilberto?
Miguel is fine. Yeah.
Hi, Miguel.
Hi. How you doing?
So tell us a little bit about yourself, what you're studying, where, and what's going on with pandemic and you.
All right. Well, I'm studying at UA right now, and regarding the pandemic, well, the courses are the way they're taught. They're being taught right now. They're a massive improvement compared to the previous year. I mean, all the classes are now in person. I mean, as far as I know, and the music programs have been going according to plan, and well, from the pandemic so far hasn't affected my ways of practicing, Otherwise, it's going fine,
Do you even prefer it?
Huh?
Do you like it as much as as pre-pandemic live events, live teaching, live concerts?
Well, playing, I prefer to do it in person, I am in some of the other some of my other courses. I did enjoy them more when it was in the pandemic, like, I don't know, music theory lab, I will actually have to come to the classroom. And I don't know, the class was very early in the morning. I admit that I enjoyed that. I didn't have to rest up very early, So yeah, that was an advantage for me.
What do you say about lessons, online Zoom lessons like that? Can you tell your impressions, compare what is better, what is worse? Everything better, everything worse?
Well, for it can vary from individuals, but I guess for me, I admit I do have I'm very acquaintance with with online courses. I had taken a fair amount of online courses with some teachers, before the pandemic. So I was sort of prepared for that, you know. The main issue is sometimes just the connection, you know, the connection can have a big effect on the lesson. Sometimes, you know, sometimes the sound obviously is not coherent, you know, when you're like do it on person. Sometimes, especially with me, my connection, my internet connection could affect the sound, you know, and sometimes it will make, I don't know, the transmission is like behind, you know, for the person at the other line. So of course that affects us, you know. Sometimes I don't think maybe they're not listening naturally to the correct notes, to the notes that I'm playing, you know. Oh yeah.
Thank you for sharing with us. Anyone who would like to would have questions, or you can ask them later for Gilberto. Are you playing concerts now live? Are you participating in concerts that are not online?
Yeah. The concerts here are not online, you know. They're in person. Yeah. It's actually live. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, actually most of the things I'm playing are in person, you know. Which is in a concert, I prefer to. Well, yeah, I prefer to play in person. You know, actually, especially when sometimes I need to send like a recording of me playing. So, I don't know. I tend to play worse when well, I don't know. Sometimes when I record myself and I have to send a video, you know, for some reason I don't know. I get more nervous, you know. Maybe because I don't know. When I'm in person, I just go out as myself, you know, and just go all out. Maybe something like that. You know, I'm not so sure.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now let's talk to Jamie. Jamie, are you there?
Yep.
Hi, Jamie.
Hello.
Please tell us, how did you survive the pandemic? What were your feelings, reactions, preferences? What you liked, what you didn't like about it? How was your communication with teachers, your classes, your cello lessons?
So I'd say at the maybe like the first half when we're still in quarantine, I mean, I was very unproductive. Especially, or I only started taking cello seriously like about 7 months ago. So during the first part of quarantine, I did not practice much at all. I was like I was living pretty sedentary. Um, then when school came back, uh, about a year and a half ago, it was all online, so not much. Still stayed pretty sedentary. Um, yeah, I had virtual cello lessons, and I don't think I improved too much over the first part of quarantine. Uh, I say mostly because I just didn't practice. But about a year ago, that spring, started practicing more, and that's when stuff started to get in person again. Um, Over the summer, went to an in-person music camp, and after that, now that I'm like fully in person with everything, like lessons and orchestra, chamber. So yeah, taking it a lot more seriously now and improving a lot more than I did first part of quarantine.
So would you say then that quarantine did not go very well for you, and you see a big change now that things are going back to normal?
I'd say for what, I mean, for music, quarantine did not go well for me. But for what I was focusing on, which was like wrestling, uh, I'd say it did go well. So I had the entire day, like, focus on, I guess it would be training and like lifting weights for wrestling. And since like I had an entire day to focus on that, that went well. I just neglected other stuff.
I see. Well, all right, that's interesting. That's interesting. Anyone who would like to have ask Jimmy a question at this point? Or then we would go to Linda. Linda, are you there?
I guess that's me.
Hello, Linda.
Hi.
Hello. Tell us
Nice to
about
meet
yourself. Great to meet you. Welcome. Tell us about yourself, where you are, what you're doing, how are you surviving? Have you survived the pandemic?
Right now I am in United States. I am a Dr. Molina's student. I am University of Alabama. I am doing my doctoral program there. And actually during the pandemic was my transition from my master to the doctoral. So I have to change town. It was difficult. It was pretty rough to start everything online. But I take advantage of that. So I learned about technology and try to do the best with what you have. So it was good.
And you master technology, and then what? Everything is now perfect? You prefer to have everything online?
No, right now we are having everything on in person. It just was for 1 year, and then we just the university start everything in person. So that was good.
Is that what you prefer? Did you find anything useful or something that you didn't have in your experience in the online environment that you eventually learned?
I think it's useful to be able to be a part of something like this, that these amazing festivals that you cannot go in person, but you have the opportunity to watch, to learn online. That's a opportunity that we didn't have before.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, Linda, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Good luck. How many years you have left? Do you know?
2 years.
2 years?
Yes.
Do you have a dream composition you want to perform at your doctor's recital?
Yes, a couple. I'm talking with Dr. Molina, so we will see at the end.
You're not ready to announce?
No, not yet, please.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Oh, you can't hear me. Madison. Is Madison here? Hello, Madison.
Hello, my name is Madison. I'm a cello performance major getting my undergrad at University of Alabama with Dr. Molina. So when the pandemic hit, I feel like it really affected my life. Of course, all of our classes went online and all of our orchestra and ensembles, like I feel like they didn't happen for a little bit, but then we went online, which was okay. It was better than nothing, but I really prefer being in person. I lost all of my gigs, unfortunately, so I had to get a different job. So that made me really grateful for having cello gigs. And then it also opened up like different kind of doors, like musical opportunities, like online, like for recordings and stuff like that. I really got into recording over the summer, and writing my own music was really fun. So I think even though it was like a big change and affected everybody in a negative way, it's had positive sides to it too, and has made me more grateful for getting to do things in person and with everyone.
What about your cello playing? how would you, evaluate this time of pandemic in your life in regards to cello playing? Did it help you improve? Did it take you into some new repertoire maybe, or new ways of playing? Or you said recording and composing more probably than before, is that?
Yeah, so it did bring new ways of playing, at least for recording. I feel like I focused more on like my production of sound overall, and because when you're recording, you can hear everything that you don't hear live, unfortunately. But I mean, that's good because you can improve. But I guess I'd say I mostly focused on that and just trying to get better, like better sound. And
All right. Okay. Thank you, Madison, for sharing your thoughts and experiences with us. And now on to faculty. Let's talk about your pandemic experience and especially teaching during pandemic. How did that change for you? What would you find useful or less useful that you think happened with this major shift in the way you taught performance classes? Maybe we start with Alvin. Alvin, are you there?
Yeah, well, basically the pandemic started right after I moved to Germany. So it's interesting to experience a new country in quarantine or in lockdown. But in terms of teaching, actually, it also it opens some doors because, for example, when I moved from Australia to Germany, I can still maintain teaching with the students from Australia and Hong Kong, which before they may not have thought about that possibility. It also kind of changes the teaching style. There are good and bad things. I can use technology at the same time to show a lot of things, but then I miss that personal touch and connection with the student. That for example, one of the biggest things that I cannot do is to play together with them. But I guess it's also beneficial in a way that new things I can do. For example, I can show multiple angles at the same time, or I can draw on different resources from online and stuff. And for example, I can type music at the same time and show them different things while I normally may not be able to do. So that was is an experience. Yeah, definitely it's an experience. Yeah.
So what do you say from now on? If you had a choice, would you choose one?
I think it's going to be a hybrid mode of doing things. I mean, there is certainly a lot of flexibility that we didn't think was possible. It also pushes the boundary, it pushes the technology, it pushes a lot of platforms being developed for this. There are several platforms right now online offering this kind of fast technology synchronization services, and I hope that will get even better, hopefully sooner, faster. And yeah, is also kind of cool to see how the whole community comes together, especially with all these online cello projects and webinar like this. But I don't know if you guys follow, but for example, there is a person that collect basically recordings from I don't know, hundreds of cellos and really spend a lot of time putting it together into a gigantic virtual cello ensemble recording thing, and I think they did it like at least 5 or 6. So that was super impressive, extremely time consuming, but very, very, fun project. So yeah, really a lot of respect for that.
All right, thank you so much, Alvin. What about Ross? Tell us what happened with your pandemic experience. Are you out of it completely? Which one do you prefer? Which mode of teaching and playing, what are your conclusions so far about the two worlds, the online world and the real world of cello playing and teaching?
Well, I was surprised at how effective the Zoom teaching was. I felt like there were fewer distractions. The student filled my whole screen, and I I was able to really focus on them. And I think they were able to focus on me. Also, I loved the commute. It was amazing. Turn the thing off and I'm home. um, but I feel like playing an instrument is a very physical activity, and so to be able to touch arms and move hands and actually be in the same room imitating sound and that kind of thing, that was the most frustrating. That I couldn't actually be there to see the student from different angles, because sometimes you'll miss what the thumbs are doing. For example, they're always hidden, or the sound would be disappointing. And that's I really hope that as we go forward, finding more and more technical improvements to the sound, musical sound on Zoom or whatever platform it would be, that I think it's going to become the idea of having an international webinar like this is just amazing. And we've been doing quite a bit of that actually with the Danish quartet. They Zoom in and they're here. I mean, they're in Miami, but they're not in Miami. So it's just that it just opens up the world, and it's a very positive thing, I think. One of the most difficult was chamber music, of course, and so some of the students were able to record things that were very consistent, a rhythm that didn't change. For example, the last movement of the Mendelssohn octet was played by 4 students, a string quartet, but each person played both parts. They recorded them separately with the headphones and everything. It was extraordinarily effective, really, really good. But they were in different parts of the country, and then they put it together. So it was exciting to see the students really rising to the challenge and figuring out ways of making the best of it. A lot of the students, I had a class of about 6 who were not in groups that wanted to do that sort of thing. I mean, the coaching that I did, okay, so this little group of 6, we had actually an excerpt class. So I would send them all, let's say a Haydn quartet, a cello part, or Mozart, or Beethoven, or Ravel, or whatever it was, and I would bracket the parts that I wanted them to practice. And then they would all play them for each other. I thought that was a pretty good solution, because they couldn't be together in the same place. And they were all learning repertoire, much more repertoire than they would have if they had just been in one group. So that was a good thing and a bad thing. I mean, it was good, but it was a little frustrating because they were not actually able to make music together. But I think it was a good stopgap. That was during the spring of 20. And then the fall, it was a hybrid. On campus, everyone was keeping their masks on all the time. Now we don't do that except indoors. Outdoors, people can have their masks off. It's in Florida. It's against the law to ask somebody whether they're vaccinated, which is a crazy situation. It doesn't make any sense. But there are a lot of things that are coming from the governor don't make any sense. But at the same time, the students were, especially the ones that were playing in ensembles, they wanted to make sure that they were safe and that their colleagues were safe. So everyone got vaccinated. Pretty much the whole school is vaccinated and boosted and all that sort of thing. But just to be sure, everyone keeps their masks on. For 1 week, it looked like things were loosening up, and so it was masks optional during the lessons, and it was nice to see my students' faces again. That's and that was another nice thing about the Zoom. But without anyone saying anything, after a week, people just started putting the masks back on. So it's a process, and but it's so lovely to hear people in person.
That's true. Yes. Many thoughts. Thank you, Ross. Moises, let's hear your impressions of what happened in the last 2 years as regards to teaching and playing and music and staying active professionally.
It was an interesting challenge because I moved here. My first teaching year here was fall of 2019. So everything seemed to be going great. And then by the spring, everything was on lockdown. And I'm in a new job with new students. And it was difficult immediately just to go back in the middle of the semester and everything shuts down. We go home and we're trying to navigate technology and trying to figure out all this stuff. And I think the biggest challenge I found was I had done some online lessons before just for prospective students that wanted to play for me overseas and that kind of stuff. But now we had the weekly lessons online, and then we have the challenges of internet and the speed of sound and what it's going to be in the learning process. That was a tough one, but I think it was a good challenge because it made us very familiar. It became an accepted way of teaching to do Zoom lessons, and to the point that now if I'm going to be out of town, some students want a lesson, they just set it up instead of having to come back and make up 300 lessons in one day. I mean, I can spread them out and say, I will hear you while I'm going because you have a recital coming up. Let's do a couple of Zoom lessons. Or, and for example, Jamie, he's in high school and he lives in Huntsville, which is 2 hours away. And some weeks when I'm out of town, instead of for the week when he comes in, he comes and we do a Zoom lesson. And so he keeps more regular schedule than not having to drive, if I'm not here and then having to go 2 weeks without a lesson. So I think there have been some pros and cons to that. It also has transformed the way we teach. And I think that my other colleagues have alluded to that. We have to, if the sound is not good, we still have to figure out what to make the best of the time. And if the internet connection is not great, then we have become much more observant. And it's really interesting to watch somebody without sound, and you begin to really watch what are they doing with their bow, what is their contact point, what is their, it looks like the hand is pressing too hard there, why is it happening, and actually began to adapt some in my live lessons. If I see a student that, sometimes I'm trying to explain something to a student and she doesn't get it, I get my camera out, my phone, and I just say, okay, let's watch it. And then I play the recording back without sound for them. And then they're like, oh, yeah, my hand is in the wrong place, even though I've been saying, but the sound is still okay, but on the long term might become an issue. So that been something that never really occurred to me to do before. And I think as a result of doing it with Zoom, it's like, oh yeah, I don't know why I didn't think about it. We all have phones now with cameras, and it's so handy to just be able to record a few seconds of what they are doing wrong and then show it to them, and discuss it, afterwards and what can be improved. But I think that the performing was really a challenge, especially when you are new in the area and everybody wants you to play and you have all these concerts lined up and all of a sudden everything is gone. And, it was really interesting. But then like the different orchestras would contact me and ask me, would you record this particular movement for this? So we're doing a recording for that. And so it was really interesting to go into that. I am very reticent of putting anything online with my playing. I don't know, just always been self-conscious about that. Well, I'm over it now. I have to put stuff out. It was like, well, this is my best play, but okay, it's going now. It's gonna be online, So I cannot be so choosy anymore about what go online. Live streaming now it's like an everyday accepted thing. I know when I first started, some schools have begun to do live streaming before the pandemic, but now it's like, basically, you just don't even think about it. It's like, oh, it's going to be live stream. So anybody all over the world can click on it and watch your concert. As for before, you felt relatively safe because you could vet the video, vet the recording, and say, okay, let's not put that movement out there. Now everything is out there as a live performance. So it's more exciting in a way and it's more scary, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I think it's pushed us to be better teachers and better performers, and it also helped us to reinvent ourselves. How can we make money with this when all the gigs are gone? Like Madison was saying earlier, I mean, everything dried out. What can I do to continue producing an income as a musician? And I think it's open other source of revenue for us, which I think is a good thing.
I wonder, how does this kind of inclusion of online environment, which becomes almost very easy for most musicians now, how does that, you think, affect the level of cello playing? Does it at
Yes,
all?
everybody. I think it forces us to be better. That's just my perspective, and also the combination of ideas from like this particular webinar. I think that's something that wouldn't have really. I think people did it before, but it's not like now we seek these opportunities, and I learned just from watching other teachers, other students, other teachers, and it makes me a better teacher. It makes me a better player.
No, that's a really good point. I think it used to be that you would have to travel someplace to observe a teacher in action, and it was not very easy to do, actually. And now it's much easier. So that's a big plus.
Well, especially for places like Tuscaloosa. I mean, we're really out of the way. I mean, it's a big town. It's a big school. It's a flagship school. But we are about 3.5 hours away from Atlanta, 11 hours from Chicago. I mean, it's like we're away from it, far away from everything. But yet I can get my students, for example, to hear you guys. I've had other cellists give master classes virtually, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, there's a whole world of cellists out there. And, they come to here and they hear Cristina from, Russia, and they hear, and so it's all of a sudden their world is open. It's different if you live in Chicago or Atlanta, or near LA, but if you live in Tuscaloosa, it's great to be able to connect with other parts of the world.
Absolutely.
Alvin, any thoughts? How this affects the level of cello playing?
Yeah, well, I agree with Moises, obviously, and I think one thing that is very interesting is a lot of these resources are actually already online, but we did not really go and utilize them, explore them, because we still have real life interactions and stuff, and kind of we're comfortable in our little community, and we kind of like, oh, the rest of the world, for example, when I was in Melbourne for 5 years. We're in a little corner, like right down under, and it's like, the rest of the world is so far away from us, not even, I'm not talking about driving hours. We're talking about flying hours. Asia is 10 hours away. America is 16 hours away. Europe is 24 hours away. We're talking flying hours, and it's very easy to be just like, and close and in our little community. And this kind of, the pandemic is in a way it forces us to get out of our comfort zone to actually look at what is around and look at what people are doing, and suddenly all these it really increases these cross collaborations from all kinds of geographical areas and people that you never get to meet, and yeah, I think that's really cool and that's really fun.
All right. Any other observations or thoughts from our participants today? What's going to happen in the future? If pandemic is gone, will this stay vital, the online environment for us, for performers? Will it fade in your your understanding? What do you think? What role will it have?
I think it's here to stay, and I think it was Alvin that mentioned the word hybrid. I think that's actually a wonderful thing. So if we are gonna take any positive out of this experience, I think that would be one. We are resilient as a species. So we have to do what we need to do.
As performers, maybe you can develop more of a solo voice with the online environment, but then also as cellist, chamber music is at the heart of cello career and orchestral environment, which you cannot do so well online. Well, some repertoire, or sometimes you can do it as an experiment, but it's not a natural environment. So perhaps we will have more of a solo development of cellists if we're forced with the online environment for more, rather than chamber performances or orchestral performances. Well, maybe that's a question for composers, if there's demand for solo repertoire, new solo repertoire for cellists. How would you like that?
Well, I just have to say that the first time I heard live music after the lockdown, it was such an emotional experience. I mean, I'm talking about an orchestra playing and seeing all the students together playing. It's just, there's nothing that can replace that. Of course, you know, sure, we can get really deep into solo music and so on, but when music happens together, that is I feel like that's when music really lifts the whole species. And I really feel like it's something that I hope never, ever goes away.
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry to say that I have to leave. This
Okay.
it's been so wonderful to meet both of you, my colleagues, and to hear the students. They were wonderful, really terrific students that you guys have, and uh, and so and Kazan, just good luck in everything that you're doing way over there in Russia. And see, we're one big community, a musical community. Great.
Thank you, Ross. Thank you so much for your contribution today.
You're welcome.
It was
Okay.
pretty incredible. Thank you, Ross.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Larissa, for organizing all this.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you, everybody. Very most amazing time. So we're ready to conclude the session. Veronica.
Okay, that's me. Alrighty. I just wanted to say how honored we were to have had Professors Harbaugh and Wong and Molina join our program today, and our wonderful students. And thank you so much for sharing the knowledge and art with us. We hope you will join us for our next session, which will be, which will be, sorry, I lost it. I had it right here. Which will be on Sunday, February 20th we'll have a lot of programming that day from 1 to 2 p.m. We will have, I'm so sorry, my computer just closed all the files that I had. I'm so sorry.
Can I take a second and say really thank you, dear professors, for your knowledges, for your welcome, for all these important things that you can see, that you can hear, and sorry for this horrible sounding, for these technical problems, for everything that was sitting like, and worrying too much. How can I make it better to show for you to play, to sound? And this opportunity is such a great thing. The organizers of the festival, thank you so much for
Great
inviting
to
me,
hear
for
you.
making
Thank you,
this.
Cristina, for playing.
Thank you so much.
And Veronica, you'll send us an email with all the information.
Yes. Sorry, but I'll just say it right now. But I'll definitely send you an email. It will be, okay, so on February 20th from 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Time, Maria Razmuskaya will do a lecture and recital on romanticism in music, and she'll be playing the piano. And then right after from 2 to 3, we'll have Matteo Cardelli, and he will do a masterclass on the piano with the Chopin preludes. And then we will have a violin masterclass right after from 3 to 5 p.m. With Annie Shalix-Boyle. And then on February 23rd, which is a Wednesday, from 10:15 to 11:15 Eastern, we will have Denaro Clinton on the piano, and she will do a piano masterclass with the Menunham School of Music in the UK. So thank you so much for that. And then I would just like to say, before we conclude, I would just like to introduce those of you who might have missed the new dates for summer's edition of the Orfeo Music Festival, an international classical music event and a one-of-a-kind opportunity for an ambitious classical music student performers to travel to Italy in July to train with world-class faculty performers, participate in their master classes, perform internationally, and gain recognition in concerts, go on trips and musical tours of historic locations, and make new musical friendships and international network of professional connections. This year, Orfeo Festival will not only feature the original festival program in Vipiteno, Italy, from July 4th to July 16th, but it will also offer a special additional program, the musical tour of Russia, from July 16th to July 26th. Students can apply to participate in either the Italian or Russian programs or both. The event is suitable not only for student and educator performers, but also others with strong interest in or professional involvement in the arts and music. You can register for the event through March 15th or by March 1st for the early bird registration rate. And we would like to thank our sponsors as well, that include the Orfeo Music Festival Foundation, Mayor Vipiteno Peter Volger, Department of Culture, City Council, and Department of Tourism of Vipiteno, Italy. If anyone here has any questions, we encourage you to reach out to us directly or by visiting our website at www.orfeomusicfestival.com. We thank you all again for attending today. It was truly wonderful, and we look forward to speaking with you again soon or seeing you at the festival, which will be in person, speaking of COVID in person. So that's exciting.